so if you didn't hear it, I'll just go through it again. All right, so, okay, for the first slide, and I need to make this a little smaller so we can see. Okay, whoops, sorry, that was so fast. Okay, so this is the first thing that she kind of went through in the lab. And basically what we're looking at is a kidney, right? So I actually answered the first question. So identify the organ in the field of view, kidney.
Yeah.
Right? And or she might say specimen. Identify the specimen in the field of view. Same thing. And then for the second one, identify the specific layer at the tip of the pointer. So anytime they say specific layer, they're talking about visceral or parietal. That's all they're saying. Specific layer means visceral or parietal. And because this is the renal corpuscle, and this is the layer facing the Bowman's space, then what is this going to be? Right, let me ask, this is for Jimmy. What's the specific layer at the tip of the pointer?
Sheesh. I don't know.
So, okay, so basically this is on the wall. So I'll give you a hint.
Yeah.
So what does it mean when it's on the wall?
Oh, is that the simple squamous or whatever?
Almost. So between parietal and visceral, because that's all it's going to be.
Oh, because it's on the. Which one does it mean that it's on the wall? Which one means it's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So between parietal and visceral, which one's on the wall?
You tell me.
It's going to be parietal.
This is parietal squamous. ET.
Yep, and visceral. So viscera actually means organ. So visceral is on the organ. So this is going to be parietal, and it's the parietal layer of Bowman's capsule.
Bowman's capsule.
So if that arrow was pointing to the other surface, just inside the tissue of the renal corpuscle, on the other side of Bowman's space,
yep,
that would be the visceral layer then?
Yep.
Okay, that makes sense.
This is just on the wall of it, right? So this is going to be parietal of the Bowman's capsule. And then, okay, for number 3, Zulema, identify the specific type of tissue that comprises the layer in number 2. So basically, what is this layer or this specific type of tissue that is at the pointer?
That's the simple cuboidal tissue?
So actually, if you look closely, it kind of looks like just a line.
Oh, squamous? Epithelial
Squamous, exactly. Simple squamous epithelial tissue. Perfect. And then number 4, for Caesar, identify the surface of the tissue that's facing Bowman's space.
Surface.
So this only has...
Is it the apical?
Exactly. Yeah, when it's saying surface of the tissue, it's either apical surface or basal surface. That's it. And you got it right, apical surface. Perfect. So number 5 for Melissa, what are the other small circular structures in the field of view? And basically she's pointing to these things. She called them like bracelets.
renal tubules?
Yeah, perfect. Exactly. And then it's going to ask, so this will also be for you because that was a little too easy for you. So identify the specific type of tissue for number 5.
The simple cuboidal.
Perfect.
I know that.
What is that? Simple cuboidal epithelial tissue?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so that's basically it. So we're looking at the kidney. It's the parietal layer. We have our simple squamous epithelial tissue, the apical surface. So kind of in here, she kind of gave the answer to you. If you knew what she was asking, she gave it to you because if it's facing the space, apical surfaces are the only ones that can face a free surface, like a free area, right? Basal is going to be deep inside. It's like a basement membrane. So that's like not going to face something open. So if she's saying it's facing Bowman's space, this open area, it has to be apical. And then, yeah, the renal tubules, simple cuboidal. Okay, so this one. Mariella. So Mariella, identify the specific tissue. I don't know why I don't like that. Okay. Identify the specific tissue at the tip of the pointer.
The specific tissue,
Yeah.
would that be, that looks like simple squamous epithelial tissue?
Yeah, exactly. Simple squamous. And that's mostly what it's going to be a lot of the times, like especially at the edges. Okay, and then for, can you do number 2 as well, Mariella? Specific membrane?
Would that be the serous membrane?
Oh, so this is like where the wording gets in. So if they had said the type of membrane, right, you would be correct. But saying specific, because type is saying like the general type, like there's serous, cutaneous, mucus, right? 3 different types. Specific membrane, this is where they're talking about either visceral or parietal, and it's also talking about like, okay, the pleural or the pericardium or the peritoneum.
Oh snap! I need to write that down. That's crazy.
So that's like the specific membrane.
Is that the visceral peritoneum?
Yeah, exactly.
Is it the stomach?
Exactly, because it's on the organ, right? And the peritoneum is anything with the abdominopelvic cavity.
Gotcha.
Stuff that's in there. Yeah, because the pleural is going to refer to the lungs, and pericardium refers to the heart. Okay, so she kind of answered the other questions. So the type is the serous, right? So let's go through. Okay, Visha. So Visha, what is it's number 4. Identify the tissue by location indicated by the tip of the pointer.
Is that mesothelium?
Yes, exactly. And your key words are tissue by location. Anytime you have serous membrane, you know, and it's saying what's the tissue by location, mesothelium.
Unless it's a blood vessel, when that's the endothelium.
Yeah, but it's not going to be a blood vessel because that's different.
We're not gonna see that.
Exactly, because we're talking about epithelial tissue. That would blood vessel would
that makes sense.
Connective.
Exactly. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm glad that you're chiming in with this because it's like it's super important to like get the distinctions. So mesothelium, honestly, like, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Like, I don't understand it too much, but I do know every time they ask tissue by location, that's the answer. So sometimes like you need to understand this material like at depth, in depth, like, and I try to teach it to you guys so that, you know, it makes sense and it's really simple. But other times you just want to learn how to be a good test taker. So with the lab, that's more what I'm trying to do, because I think with the lab stuff, like, unless you're actually in a position where you're going to do all this, like, you know, you don't need to know it so in depth, you know?
So every time it says by location, or like every time they ask that, it's mesothelium.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is just like, be a good test taker. That's what they're saying. At least for this exam. Like later on when you're going to learn like some more information, I'll tell you new stuff. But right now, that's all you need to know. Anytime they say tissue by location, it's talking about the mesothelium. Yeah. So, and then when it says type of membrane, it's just general type. Specific membrane, they want really specific. They're usually talking about peritoneum, pleural, whatever, like, you know, the membrane is, or pericardium or something, but usually it's going to be peritoneum. Because, like, think about it, kidney, stomach, esophagus, what else did we look at? Ureter, all of that's in the peritoneum. You know? So if she's saying specific membrane, that's what they're saying. Visceral or parietal, and then peritoneum. Okay, so then number 5, yeah. So number 5 for... Wait, did you answer that, Visha?
No, I just answered number 4, but 5
No,
is that, would that be the lumen?
So you're totally on the right track. Anytime they say space, open space, it's either lumen or what's the other thing?
What is it? Shit, I hate when I do that. I forgot.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. So let's go to Eric. Eric, do you know what it could be?
I want to say apical surface, but I'm not sure.
Well, that's going to be like the name of the surface or the specific surface. But the open space, basically, we're looking at stomach, right? So we're looking at stomach here because this kind of looks like bacon. That's how I remember it.
Right.
So we're looking at the stomach, and this is like open space here. So think about like zooming out. You know, where is the stomach located?
Peritoneum.
Oh, I see. So that's
The peritoneum.
ventral. Okay.
And so basically, that space is called the peritoneal cavity.
Oh, wow.
Got it. I was gonna be wrong anyway when I said visceral cavity, but I was thinking, it's a cavity, the peritoneal cavity.
So yeah, cavity means space. Lumen means space. It just depends, like specifically what they're saying. Like here, they're saying like outside of the stomach. What is that space? But if there was like in the last one, they were saying like with the corpuscle, you know, the Bowman's capsule space, Bowman's space.
Is it? It's the peritoneal cavity. It's not. I thought it's not the abdominal pelvic or.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about that? You learn abdominal pelvic just so that it kind of orients you, but then every other time you're going to learn the synonym for that, which is peritoneum.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. You never say abdominal pelvic. That's never going to be the answer. Like,
ever.
It's just not. Like, they're always going to say peritoneal cavity.
And that makes sense because we're looking at the visceral and parietal peritoneal area. So that's the peritoneal cavity. I'm saying it out loud, really just kind of to memorize it in my head.
Good.
Yeah, no, that helps a lot. Thank you. That made a lot of sense. I clearly was thinking too much into that. So it's like you said, if you were to zoom out, you know, think about it, like where exactly would the stomach be?
Yeah,
so that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm here for. All right. So just to see the answers written out, the simple squamous, it was just talking about at the tip of the pointer, at the edge. Usually the edge is going to have that simple squamous because simple squamous is basically to, actually, this is another good thing to kind of tell you guys. So you know how it says like, okay, what type of membrane is it? Like for number 3. So simple squamous is the only one that's serous, right? And then for, what do you guys think the only one is for like the cutaneous? This is for Areli. What specific type of tissue is cutaneous?
Type of tissue for cutaneous?
Yeah.
I'm overthinking it because I know it. So
cutaneous is our skin, right?
Oh, is it the keratinized? Am I in the right place?
You're totally right, but I want you to just finish it.
Okay, yeah. Keratinized, simple stratified?
Well, simple, it's either simple or stratified.
Oh, okay. So it's keratinized, stratified squamous epithelial tissue.
Yes, exactly. Keratinized, stratified squamous. Yeah, perfect. So that's the only one that's going to be cutaneous. And the simple squamous is the only one that's serous. Every other one is mucus.
I just had to think about it. I get so nervous when I'm on the spot, so I know it, but when I'm on the spot, I'm just like, my mind is blank. Okay, thank you.
You were totally right, though. You were like, you had it, you know? So this is just like a little tip for you guys just to help you, because I know a lot of times they're asking like, okay, what's the specific membrane? And you're so focused on what's the name and, you know, what am I looking at? What's the organ? But sometimes you're looking at like, what type of membrane is that? Oh shit, serous, cutaneous, mucus. Most of the time it's mucus. There's only one that goes with serous and one that goes with cutaneous. That kind of makes sense? So like for all the other ones, the ciliated, pseudostratified, columnar epithelial, the transitional, the simple columnar, the simple cuboid, all of those are mucus. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. And basically, we're looking at that space, the peritoneal cavity outside of the stomach, and it's the fundic stomach. You could say stomach, it would be the same thing. It's just fundic is like specific, but you don't have to say that because this is just asking identify the specimen. Okay, so for slide 3, this one's a really, really good one. Okay, so for Leanne, what is number 1, the specific tissue at the tip of the pointer? We'll just give her a minute. So this is where they're talking about like blah, 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 epithelial tissue. Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, I think Leanne answered in the chat.
Oh, okay, here, there it is. There it is. I see it now. Okay, so pseudostratified squamous. Okay, so you're right on the pseudostratified, but it's not squamous. So it's going to be, so the main thing that's like kind of tells you what this actually is the cilia. Columnar. Yes, exactly. So the ciliated pseudostratified columnar. So I'm going to like zoom in. This is all cilia. And you can kind of see like, it looks like little hairs, right? And that's what it is. Like it basically is, you know, it's basically like hair because they have that function of moving things out, basically. So ciliated pseudostratified, because if you kind of take a look over here, whoops. If you look over here, it kind of looks like, oh, is that 2 layers? This is where the pseudo-stratified comes in. Mm-hmm. It's not actually 2 layers. It's just 1 layer. But they're kind of like the nuclei are like in different spots. They're not like all at the bottom or all at the top or whatever. So, yes, exactly.
So cilia is always pseudo-stratified?
Yeah, cilia is always pseudo-stratified. That's the special thing about it. Anytime you see ciliated, it's ciliated pseudo-stratified columnar. Yeah. That's the only one that has the cilia. And so we kind of know, like, okay, this is to take things out of our body, you know, to move, basically the cilia move the things, like whatever debris or something got into our system, it moves it so that we sneeze or cough it out, basically. So that's what it does. I can make it smaller. All right, so then, good job, Leanne. All right, so for Aurelie, identify the type of membrane at the tip of the pointer. So this is a general, it's between the 3.
Type of membrane? Mm-hmm. So hold on. Can you repeat what you just said, the question?
Yeah, so identify the type of membrane at the tip of the pointer. This is one of those, it's basically asking 3 general.
Oh, mucus.
Exactly.
The trachea, right? What? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I just like the number 6.
And you also know because there's only 1 for serous, there's only 1 for cutaneous. That's it. So everything else is mucus, and you're totally right. This is the trachea.
Okay.
Because that's where like you're sneezing or coughing or whatever, right? So okay. Then for Jimmy. Mm-hmm. So she got that number 3. Identify the light-colored cell at the tip of the pointer. So this thing.
Dang it! I know this. What is it? What is it?
We're asking you.
I know. I have it. I just don't.
Okay, it starts with a G.
It starts with a G?
Oh, yeah. You drink out of it. That's Eric's.
I drink out of it? What?
I mean, you don't, but kings do. You know?
Oh, the goblet? Is that what you said?
Yeah, you got it. Exactly. Goblet cell. Yeah. So goblet cells, okay, you might as well do number 4 as well. What's the function? What does it do?
Sheesh. I don't know. What does a goblet cell do?
Yeah, so goblet cell, like, kind of like a real goblet, right? Because they didn't make these words up out of thin air. So real goblets, like, they hold something. So they're going to secrete mucus. Another word for mucus is mucin, M-U-C-I-N.
So it's like a little mucus pouch or something? What is it?
Exactly. It's a mucus pouch. That's what the goblet cells are. So they secrete mucus. That's it, basically. So that mucus basically traps the debris, whatever came into your mouth or your nose, is going to trap the debris, and then the cilia are going to push it out. Because the cilia just go in one direction, and that's out, right? So basically that's why like this ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelial tissue is a mouthful, but that's why it has those goblet cells and the cilia. Those are the important things about this type of tissue. Okay, so then for
Nazifa, can I ask a question really fast?
Of course.
So I think during lecture, I saw her spell it MUCOUS, like mucus.
Mm-hmm.
Is it MUCUS? I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, you can spell it either way, honestly.
Oh.
You know, I spell it the OUCS, but it really doesn't matter, honestly.
That's where I keep switching it up British. In my notes.
Yeah, it's like British way or whatever. Kalur.
I just didn't want to be marked off because we spelled it wrong, but okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And also, if you're off by one letter, like the O, she usually does not do anything. Because like generally, and that's the same thing, it's like they're the same. Mm-hmm. I usually do like if it's mucus, like the actual mucus, like the substance, I spell it in both ways. So if this is substance, I spell it with just the U. And then if it's the membrane or whatever, then I spell it with the O. So, but yeah, you're not gonna lose points for that. So, okay, and then, okay, so that was just Jimmy, right?
Yeah.
So it's Zulema. Okay, Zulema, what's the organ in the field of view?
Trachea.
Trachea, exactly. Okay, so then can you do number 6 as well? Where else would this type of tissue be located in the body?
In the bronchioles?
Yeah, exactly. So basically that respiratory tract, because this is special, like this type of tissue is special to the respiratory tract. So yeah, trachea, the bronchus, bronchus, I think this was called. And then, number 7. So this one's for Caesar. So what are the main functions of this type of tissue?
Isn't it to move substances?
Exactly, that's part of it. So, but first, because think about the 2 important things. So the cilia move the substances, and then the goblet cell
secretes mucus.
Yeah, so the mucus traps the debris.
Okay.
Yeah, so the way she has it here, moves mucus by ciliary action, mucociliary, I don't know. That's like a lot of mumbo jumbo. Like she would give it to you if you said it just plainly. The mucus produced by the goblet cells traps the debris. The cilia move it out. You know?
Is it only mucus that it moves?
Well, the mucus doesn't move. The mucus is like the goblet cells make it, and then it goes up into the cilia, so it traps whatever debris was here, right? It makes it like sticky, and then the cilia push it out.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so mucus trap, cilia push out. But yeah, basically that's what it's spelled like: ciliated pseudostratified columnar.
Mucociliary escalate.
Yeah, this is like, I don't know. I don't remember her ever saying it like this specific. We just had it really simple, like mucus traps the debris, cilia move it, push it out, you know? So yeah, and then bronchus lines the respiratory tract.
Yeah, cool. I have a question about that. Like, so is she looking more for just like specific answers? Because, you know, sometimes I feel like I can go on and on about something. I'd rather just go straight to the point.
Yeah, so I would say, especially on an exam, like say a little bit more detail, you know, like especially if it's saying like what's the functions, like, and this could be like has 2 functions, right? Mucus traps it, the cilia move it out. I would definitely mention both. You know, I wouldn't say it simply, but you have to think about like what the question is asking. So if it's saying specific tissue, just say that, you know, ciliated pseudostratified columnar epithelial tissue. That's it. You know, type of membrane. For a lot of these questions, it's just the 1 word or whatever, like 2 words. It's just the answer. But then if it's saying like, what's the function? That's where you can get like, put a couple more words in. So like, she knows that you know.
Right. So where it's like, you don't have to go on and on and on. Just
no. But like for like the short answer, because this is the lab portion. So you want to be like a little bit more concise here. But for the short answer, the long answer essay questions, you want to say as much as you can about the topic. You know?
Okay, thank you.
You don't want to leave anything out. Like that's what I always did, and that's why I always start on that first, because that's a huge tip to you guys. Like, don't start on multiple choice first, because you're just gonna feel really stressed when you're doing the harder part. Like I always thought the harder part was like obviously the stuff you have to come up with on your own, right? Like the short answer, the essay. And right. I also felt like when I went through the multiple choice first, I felt like it confused me more. Like it made me second guess myself, and I'm just like, so when it came time to like the essay, I'm also running out of time, and I'm kind of like, wait, was that right? Did I, what, you know, and then you kind of like forget things, or you just don't feel confident, and you're tired, you know, you're stressed, like you've used a lot of brain power just to get through the exam. So always go through the harder part, the short answer and the essay parts first. Because multiple choice, like if you're really stressed, you could just like circle something, right?
Right, yeah, that's true.
And like 25% chance that you got it right still, even if you didn't even look at the questions. So, you know, your odds are way better.
On Thursday, she also said, I don't know if you guys heard this, but like specifically maybe like on short answer essay questions, she said that next to the questions, you're gonna be able to see like if it's either 1 point or 5 points. So she said more for 5 points, it's like you want to elaborate more.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, for the 5 points, 5 points is the most you can get on a question. So that's the big one. You know, you want to say like everything you know about it. Like it's not going to be a whole page, but you still want to like make sure you hit all the points, you know.
Right. Yeah,
like for instance, for this one, like number 4, what's the function of this cell? Secrete mucus. That's it, you know.
Right, yeah.
There's not much more to be said of it. Like so there's times where you can go, you know, be more concise, and then other times like on the essay you want to go in full detail. Because you know she does half points.
Right.
Yeah. All right, so is this kind of helping people? Like we'll go through, I think, maybe 1 or 2 more slides.
I have a quick question. For the first exam, she said that it would be more focused on chapter 4 since we didn't have a quiz for that. Is that like, I'm kind of scared because I've been studying chapter 4, but I haven't had a time to review chapters 1 through 3.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And what is chapter 4? Can you remind me?
Mariella.
That's all the tissue stuff, the junctions and the...
Yes.
Yeah.
Tissues, junctions.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, what I would recommend is online you can go and take that quiz. I recommend edition 13.
Okay.
It's not the newest one, but it's, I think, the best one in my opinion.
It has more questions.
Yeah, so go through that one, and that will give you like a good idea of the multiple choice stuff, and then just kind of like keep reviewing your notes for, you know, for the lecture notes.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so number 4, or slide 4, for Melissa. Okay, so Melissa, these are the questions. So identify the specific tissue.
Okay, I think it's a simple columnar epithelial tissue.
Yeah, good job. That was super good. So this one, some people in the past have said this looks like cilia, but I want to point out that a main difference between this is that it's covered up. Like this is still, you know, it has like a clean edge, I guess. So this is part of that cell. And if you look really close, like I'm going to zoom in, these are columns, right? And then other people have also said like, oh, it looks like maybe there's 2 layers. Well, actually, all of the nuclei are just at the bottom, but it's still just the 1 layer because it's a long type of cell, right? That's the columnar part.
Mm-hmm.
So awesome, you got it perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, and then,
well, in her lab review too, the lab quiz review, she kind of like marked a square too.
Yeah.
Like 1 square to like.
Oh, okay.
Tell you that it's columnar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. So columnar, like a column. Okay. Okay. So then for Mariella, identify the main function of this type of tissue.
Would that be secretion and absorption again?
Exactly. It's just like the cups. So the columnar and the cuboidal, same function. It's just that The columnar is bigger, so it can do more of it. Same thing though. Cool. So then, all right. Also for Mariella, identify the type of membrane at the tip of the pointer.
Would this be mucous membrane?
Yeah, all of them are mucus, basically. What's the serous one?
I'm sorry, could you rephrase the question? The serous one?
Yeah, the serous membrane is going to be what specific type of tissue?
I'm not really sure, but I just think of it as like a shiny thing that kind of helps prevent
yeah, it's to lubricate and decrease friction, exactly. So serous membrane is always simple squamous.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, serous is always simple squamous, and cutaneous, that's always keratinized stratified squamous.
Yeah.
So the keratinized, because like keratin is hair, right? So that's on your skin, that's the cutaneous. Those are the only ones that go with those two, and everything else is mucus, so perfect. Okay, so then for Visha.
Can you repeat that so I can write it down? So serous is...
Absolutely. Yes, so serous membrane is always simple squamous.
Okay.
Or simple squamous is always serous, whatever way you want to say it. And then cutaneous membrane, the only one that's cutaneous is the keratinized stratified squamous epithelial tissue.
Okay.
Keratinized stratified squamous. So that's the only cutaneous, and then everything else is mucus. Makes it a little bit easier, at least to answer this number 3 type of membrane. It's just a lot simpler like that. Okay, so then for Visha. So Visha, what is the organ in the field of view?
Is it still the stomach?
It's not like I don't know. I was thinking something else, and I don't even want to tell you guys what I was gonna say.
So it is the stomach. It's totally right. I think Jimmy said that. So it's still the stomach. I know you think like, oh, we already did the stomach, but I mean, we didn't. There's going to be some overlap, you know. So
yeah, I'm not gonna tell you guys what I thought I was gonna say.
Yeah, because it just depends on what they're pointing to. Guy.
So I was going to say the ureter, but I'm looking at my lab notes right now, but the tissue's not the same on the outside of the ureter. So I would have got it wrong.
Yeah. So this one, it's still the stomach. What I recommend is like, even on a piece of paper, like if you don't want to get a poster or something, this is the night before. So just on like a piece of printer paper, everywhere there's the stomach, like just put all of the different histology things, just so that your brain can sort of like see them together.
Right.
Even though they look different and they're pointing to different things, like this is still the stomach. And then I would also put like anything that's like kidney or ureter or like, urinary bladder, like all of those, because they're part of the urinary system. I would put those like on one page or just 2 pages, just so that you can kind of like
different.
Yeah, so you can group them together and like in your mind,
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm actually gonna do that.
Yeah, because I don't like flashcards too much. I like to have it just laid out, and then you can just do like 1, 2, 3, 4, and ask your questions just like how this one does, and then like have your answers on a different page, so then you can still test yourself. Okay, so then number 4 for Eric. Number 5. Identify the surface indicated at the tip of the pointer.
Is that the apical surface?
Look at the pointer. It's between apical and basal.
Oh, wait, I see.
Yeah.
It's between apical. I'm sorry, I thought okay, so that's pointing towards the basal layer then.
Yes, exactly. Because if it had been like up here.
If it was up a little more, I see. I just... My apologies.
I know. I honestly, when I first saw this, I was like, oh yeah, apical. Like, I don't know why everybody like...
I thought maybe they were just like, a little generous with throwing that pointer down. But yes, that makes
usually
sense.
When they put the pointer like down here so much, they're like, even when they say the tip of the pointer, they're like talking about here, Like sometimes if it's a structure, she'll be like right at the thing, So yeah, basal. But good job though, because it's always going to be like between apical and basal if it's talking about surface.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So yeah, so the tissue is specific tissue, simple columnar epithelial. The function, secretion and absorption, just like simple cuboidal. What's the type of membrane? This is general, mucus. What's the organ or the specimen? Stomach. What's the surface? Basal. Okay, so then this is our last slide because my little baby needs to go to sleep. All right, so number 5. So I just asked Eric, so Leanne, identify the specimen in the field of view. Yep, yeah, exactly. It's our skin. Yeah, perfect. Okay, for number 2, Aurelie. So identify the specific type of tissue at the tip of the pointer.
Specific type. Is that the, like, either 3 of them? Oh, no, wait, I'm talking about membranes.
Yeah, that's going to be type of, like, general type, but this is specific type of tissue. So this is, like, something epithelial tissue.
Oh, I literally just said this. Keratinized, stratified, squamous epithelial tissue.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect, because that's the only one that's going to be the skin. And then what's the function of it? Also for you.
I'm going to say protect.
Yes, exactly. And anytime you see stratified, every time you see that word, like, it's going to be protection. So there's only 2 stratified epithelial tissue, right? There's non-keratinized stratified squamous epithelial, and there's keratinized, right? Both of them are stratified, both of them protect. That's it. So anytime it's stratified, because all of those layers, that's what they're doing. They're protecting you. So like your skin, it's protecting you from like all the stuff that's inside, your bones and your muscle and everything else. So good job. Okay, then for Jimmy. Identify the protein that's indicated at the tip of the pointer.
The protein. Let's see. Keratin?
Yeah, exactly. Yay. That's what it is. Keratinized, right? Yay. So that's the keratin. Perfect. Yeah, because you start thinking like, oh, like I've seen so many people overthink this where they're like, oh no, it's those, it's that circle and the CC stir and all this other stuff, and it's like, oh no, it's simpler than that, just keratin. Okay, so then last question, Zulema. So identify the type of membrane in the field of view for Zulema.
Cutaneous.
Cutaneous, exactly. That's the only type that's going to be like that. So. Awesome. So yeah, so this is available online on the modules. So it's just called like tissues, histo, something review. So you guys are free to like take a look at that. I'm just gonna make sure that I have everybody's names. 1 second. Did you guys actually, did you guys share the materials and stuff that I gave you guys?
I shared it to a couple people.
Okay. Okay, cool. Well, I'll still share it with like everybody that was here today that didn't get it already. So, and then, so actually I'm going to send it through Canvas. So I'll send it like maybe in a half hour.